Can you talk about what programming languages Microsoft uses for different parts of Windows and why? There are really only three languages. There's going to be a tiny amount of assembly in the HAL, the hardware abstraction layer, which is what takes the actual CPU, motherboard, that combination, and exposes it in a way that can be written to with C. So it's really just the code you need to get C up and running, more or less. From there, you have a bunch of stuff that is, especially down in the kernel, that is still C itself. I believe, if I'm right, user 32 is still C, GDI is C, shell 32 was C, but is now C++. But shell 32 was a bit crazy. They were so memory constrained on Win95, and they were so sensitive and diligent about memory that what they did was they had their own mini COM that was not really COM. It knew how to like call through a QI pointer and get an interface handle or some really basic functionality, but couldn't do anything more than that until you actually needed real COM, at which point it would then reload the real COM and then let it do the work. But it kept the memory footprint much smaller for a much longer time. The difference also was they were not using C++. They were using C, but they were still using classes and COM objects. And you're like, well, how do you do that? Well, you actually code a vtable into your object with a bunch of function pointers at the beginning, and it knows that, hey, this looks exactly like a C++ object when laid out in memory. And that's what they did. So that was C++ written in C, basically. And then at some point, they just said, we're just going to go to C++. And that was with the NT port, I believe.